Okay, so this video is 4.3b. It's the point slope form of a line, part 2. And what we want to be able to do is understand like how point slope form of a line can relate to a real world problem. So point slope form is pretty important, and like linear equations are pretty important because that's how like your savings account might grow, or money, or like how your rent is going to come in, like the cash from that, like anything in the real world that involves money. A lot of times it's going to be linear or close to linear. So let's talk about this for a second. For 4 months, you've saved $25 a month. Do you feel like that's a slope, or do you feel like that's a point, or do you feel like that's an X or a Y? Like $25 per month. Is that a rate, or is that not a rate? That's a question, right? So it's a rate, right? It's $25 per month. So because this is a rate, anytime you know that something's a rate, it's a slope, okay? Rate and slope are kind of the same thing in a way, rate of change and slope. So now you've got 175 in your bank account, in your savings account, and that's now in your life, and this is apparently 4 months later. 4 months later. So could you write an equation that kind of represents this? I mean, it's just a word problem, but what would be the equation in point slope form? So I'm going to write the skeleton here, okay? We're going to put the flesh on this, but here's the bones of the problem. Y minus something equals m, and then x minus something. Well, what's the point that we want to use? Would you agree it's 4, 175? So shouldn't we do y minus 175 right here? And then shouldn't we in fact do x minus 4 here? Now the question becomes, what is the slope, the rate? What is the amount we're saving each month? How much are we saving each month? Yes. $25. So if we're saving $25 per month, that's 25 goes here. Oops, that's 2x, so it should be 25. So that is the equation of the line. That's really all it is. And they do say a after t months, so maybe we should change that. The amount minus 175 is equal to 25, and they said t is the months. So that's really the way we should write it, because they're talking about a and t, right? Amount in the bank and time in months. Is that all right? No problems? So let's kind of keep on cruising. Let's keep on cruising. Okay. Okay, the student council is ordering customized foam hands. That's awesome. I wish we would order customized foam hands to promote the Woolly Swamp, for example. Now, to promote school spirit, they've got these foam hands, you know what I'm saying? They look kind of like this. I'm holding my hand up with the finger, you know? And this is showing the cost of the numbers of foam hands that they're ordering and all that. Oh, and it's kind of ugly looking, so let me pause this and fix the table because it looks horrible. Okay, so sorry about that. That was embarrassing. Now we have a nice, beautiful looking table. Even though some of the cells aren't spaced equally, I think this is acceptable. I'm going to call it good. So we got these foam hands, and I want to write a linear model. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a situation where... So as you know, we've got this foam hands going on here, and at the end of the day, I mean, really, we could kind of just ignore the whole word problem situation. I mean, we don't really care about that. We just want to know what the slope is and what the point is. So slope, we sometimes are using green for that, I think usually. That's the slope, or the rate of change, you can call it, the rate of change. Rate O change, okay? That's a little O with like that's a little O with an accent, like, you know, like Lucky Charms or something like that. Rate of change, okay, got it? Or pot of gold, okay? So we got the rate of change, which is the change in y over the change in x. Now what do you think is the change in y? It doesn't really matter, I guess, but I think logically, change in y should probably be the cost, right? Yes, go for it.
12.
Okay, so 12. So I would say 12 is the change in y. It doesn't really matter where we go. And the change in x is 2 then? So change in y over change in x, these are kind of the same thing, is 12 over 2, which is 6. What is on top, dollars or foam hands? $6 per one foam hand, per foam hand, okay? Cool. All right, so everybody gets that? Cool. Moving on. All right, so wherever I was, I brought a foam hand in here so you can kind of check it out. Check it out. This is the foam hand, okay? Cool. So now you know what we're talking about, because obviously, how could we do the problem without knowing what we were talking about? That's important. So we got $6 per foam hand, so that is the slope. So the slope, I guess, if you really want to be simple, a simpleton, the slope is 6. Now you got to pick a point, because this is called point slope form, right? So pick a point. I don't care. We got 5 to choose from. So yeah, let's just pick the first one. Boom, take that point. So it's going to be y minus, let's put the skeleton out here, okay? Not trying to scare anyone, but let's put the skeleton in the problem here. Y minus the y value, which is 34. I'll use blue because that's what I had it in. 34. And then x minus the x value, which was 4. And then we need the slope, which was 6. And that is the equation of this thing. So here's the deal. If we look at this for a second, right? Could we talk about, like, what's the deal? If we sold, I mean, let's say, for example, we sold, I don't know, 20 foam hands. How much money are we going to make? Where do the foam hands go? Do they go in X or do they go in Y? What were we dealing with foam hands as? X? Yes? So why don't we just plug in 20 for X and see what happens? Pretty simple. Y minus 34 equals 6, and then 20 minus 4. So that's 16 times 6. So 16 times 6 is what we need to get. So we're going to have y minus 34 equals, I think that's going to be 96, okay? And then we're going to add 34 to both sides, right? And if we add 34 to both sides, I think we get y is equal to $130. So we get $130 if we sell 20 foam hands. How exciting is that? Pretty cool, right? So pretty good deal. That's really what's going on with this problem. What else can we say about it? I guess nothing. So let's keep on scrolling down and see what we got going on here. Now you try, okay? I put this as very simple. Ah, dang, look at that table. It's looking very ugly again. So let me pause that guy, and I want you to pause the video and give this problem a try. All right, so hopefully you've paused the video and you tried this problem here. Make sure you do that. Let's continue on. So the last thing we want to do is this part right here, this problem number 4. And what's the deal with number 4? Let's check it out. It says units to show that if you start with $15 in the bank and you save $30 a week for 8 weeks, you'll have $255. Now this is a problem I find really important. So how can we use units to show this? You start with $15 in the bank, so let's just try to talk about something. So let's use green for money. Okay, so green is money. That makes sense. That's green. This is money, right? And time, I guess I'll use red. So weeks and all that stuff. So basically what we want to do is we want to talk about points that are like X, Y, right? And in a sense, this is actually time, which is red, and this is actually money, which is green. So this is a really important thing that's happening here today. I'm like super excited about this problem. Honestly, kind of came up with this on my own. It's not really something you'd see in a lot of books or textbooks or things like that. So let's talk about it. How can we start with $15 in the bank and get more money when we're doing this? So let's check this problem out. All right, so let's just try to work on making an equation here. We see that we've color-coded the red for time or weeks and the green for money, and that's y. So we're going to use the y equals mx plus b format, and let's see if we can maybe just fill in some blanks here. The big key is to be using units, okay? So I'm going to use blank equals blank blank plus blank, y equals mx plus b. But in this situation, I might want to change this around so it's y equals b plus mx, just this once. Because I think if I switch it around a little bit, it will make a little bit more sense. Because we want our starting point to really be at the beginning of our equation. So b plus mx is what I'm going to do, okay? Now if we look for what we started with, right? What we started with in money, the y-intercept, where you would plot on the graph to start your graph, it would be $15. So we're going to put $15 for our starting amount. That's our y-intercept. And then we look at our slope, which is our rate of change. The rate at which we're bringing money is 30 a week. So we're going to have $30 per 1 week for 8 weeks. Now it's pretty clear that the 8 is red, it's time, so that's your x. So it's mx. These last two dots over here, or these last two blanks, are mx. Now our slope is $30 per 1 week. So I'm going to put units on this. 1 week here. I may even write 8 weeks here. And maybe I'll put dollars on the 15. And you know that this whole thing should come out to what after the 8 weeks? $255, right? So let's just see if this makes any sense. What would happen if we had 8 weeks and 1 week? What happens when you divide by 1 week and you multiply by 8 weeks over there on the right in red? Well, if you're dividing by a week and you're multiplying by a week, the weeks are really going to cancel out. The 8's not going to cancel out. The 1's not really even going to cancel out. But the weeks themselves are going to cancel out. Just like 5 divided by 5 cancels to 1. If you multiply 1/3 by 3, it cancels. We can cancel out weeks here. So that unit's gone. We now have 30 times 8, but it's $30 times 8. So if it's $30 times 8, we get $30 8 times. How much money have we gotten? $240. And we already had 15 for starters in the bank. And now we want to know what that whole account balance is. Well, it's $255. So it's a pretty cool problem in the sense that you're understanding that how this equation really makes a lot of sense, that you're getting money from the slope. So the slope is kind of showing you how things are accumulating. $30 a week for 8 weeks, we kind of know from common sense that $30 a week for 8 weeks is $240, and you started with 15. But what I really think is cool is canceling out that week, that 1 week with that 8 weeks. And that might be the hardest part to understand, the blue scribbles, but that's really what's profound about this problem, what's special about it, okay? And that's what makes lines apply to a lot of things, whether it be money, bank accounts, anything like that. Water in the pool that you're filling up, whatever you start with, and the rate at which you fill it. So let's just end it there. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Peace.